When it comes to Battlefield 6, nothing sparks more heated debate than its Battle Royale mode. Half the community swears it will ruin the game, and the other half insists it's the only way to keep Battlefield relevant in 2025. We are often left to pick a side or decide who's right and who's wrong, but ultimately I think that no one is really wrong here, because at the end of the day, developers and corporate decisions made to maximize profits ruin games, not some random game modes. After all, no one is wrong for wanting to enjoy a game that's fun to play and offers long-term replay value. Having a good Battlefield 6 multiplayer shouldn't exclude having a good Battle Royale mode, and the other way around. Our expectations are so low at this point that's hard-coded into our minds that they can't get it right for both sides. We assume that they need to screw up somehow, or that's impossible to allocate resources in a way that delivers two quality products and satisfies both crowds. Battle Royale has this stigma of being the mode that ruins games, but it's not necessarily because of the game mode itself. It's because it was overdone over the years and every studio wanted to jump on the hype train to capitalize on it. This resulted in loads of failed projects, predatory monetization tactics, and somehow the whole BR space devolved into this nightmare of regurgitated battle passes, washed up cosmetics, and studios copying themselves while spitting out mediocrity at each step. That led to a wave of failed projects, predatory monetization, and the BR landscape spiraling into a swamp of recycled battle passes, washed up cosmetics, and studios overdoing the same formula while pumping out mediocrity at every turn. But let's dive deeper and look at the actual track record, because while I believe both sides can theoretically coexist, the historical evidence tells us a more concerning story. We've seen major franchises chase the BR trend and end up turning away their core fan base, wasting development resources and damaging their reputation for years. So today, let's examine the evidence and see if EA might be repeating the same mistakes that have hurt other series. Let's address the elephant in the room. Battlefield already tried this with Firestorm in Battlefield 5, and it was an absolute disaster. The mode was dead within months of launch, with players unable to find matches and the community completely ignoring it. And Firestorm is not the only disaster worth remembering. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is perhaps the most extreme example of BR obsession gone wrong, where they completely scrapped the single-player campaign, a core feature that Call of Duty fans expected, to focus development resources on Blackout, their Battle Royale mode. The decision was so controversial that it split the fanbase and left many longtime players feeling betrayed. Even successful BR modes can become problematic. Look at Warzone's impact on the main Call of Duty series. The integration has been plagued with issues, balancing nightmares, and complaints that traditional multiplayer modes are being neglected in favor of the free-to-play BR cash cow. Firestorm's failure offers a perfect case study for what can go wrong. The mode launched to immediate criticism from the Battlefield community. Players complained that it felt like a generic Battle Royale with Battlefield assets slapped on top rather than a genuine Battlefield experience. But the real killer was the paywall. Unlike Fortnite or Warzone, you needed to own Battlefield 5 to play Firestorm. This immediately limited the potential player base and meant the mode was competing with free alternatives that offered similar gameplay. Within months, finding a Firestorm match became nearly impossible. The mode that EA had heavily promoted as a major feature became a ghost town, and development resources that could have improved the main Battlefield 5 experience have been wasted on a failed experiment. So the concern that we hear from the anti-BR crowd could be valid, as resource allocation could be influenced based on how these modes actually perform. Developing a Battle Royale isn't just adding another game mode. It requires an entirely different approach to map design, balancing, progression systems, and ongoing content updates. Look at Black Ops 4 again. The decision to prioritize Blackout over the campaign wasn't just about creative direction, it was about development resources. The studio had to choose, and they chose BR over what many fans considered to be the heart of Call of Duty. Ripple Effect Studios is leading the Battlefield 6 BR development, but they're still part of the larger Battlefield ecosystem. You could say that every hour spent on the BR mechanics maps, BR specific content, and BR balancing is an hour not spent on improving the core Battlefield experience that fans actually want. The Battle Royale mode is getting its own separate launch, which suggests significant resources are being allocated to make it successful. But what if those resources were spent on making the main Battlefield 6 campaign incredible, or ensuring the multiplayer maps are the best in franchise history? Perhaps the biggest risk is splitting the Battlefield community. The franchise already went through this with Battlefield 2042's controversial design choices, and it took years for the community to start trusting DICE again. Battlefield fans are incredibly passionate about what makes their franchise unique: the large-scale combined arms warfare, the team-based objective modes, the focus on vehicles and destruction working together. Battle Royale, by its very nature, emphasizes individual survival over team objectives. The free-to-play model might bring in new players, but it could also attract players who have no interest in the main Battlefield experience, creating a community that doesn't understand or appreciate what the franchise stands for. And free-to-play Battle Royale means one thing: aggressive monetization. EA will need to recoup their development investment somehow, and that usually means battle passes, cosmetic stores, and constant pressure to keep players spending money. This creates a dangerous incentive structure. Success becomes measured not by whether the BR mode enhances the Battlefield experience, but by how much revenue it generates. We've seen this destroy game balance in other titles, where weapon balancing decisions are influenced by skin sales rather than gameplay quality. The live service model also demands constant content updates, new maps, new modes, new cosmetics, seasonal events, all requiring ongoing development resources that, again, could be spent on the main Battlefield experience. Look at Warzone's impact on Call of Duty. The pressure to keep BR players engaged could fundamentally change how Battlefield develops as a franchise. Also, if you enjoyed the video so far, consider leaving a like and subscribing, as it really helps the channel grow. If the Battle Royale mode becomes successful and starts driving the franchise direction, we might end up with a Battlefield that prioritizes individual skill over teamwork, survival mechanics over objective-based gameplay, and cosmetic progression over military authenticity. The most successful Battlefield games, Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 1, succeeded because they doubled down on what made Battlefield unique. When the franchise tries to be everything for everyone, it usually ends up being nothing special to anyone. Now, to be fair, there are reasons to be cautiously optimistic. RippleFX Studios proved they understand Battlefield's DNA with Portal mode, which was widely praised for capturing the essence of classic Battlefield games. The free-to-play model does solve Firestorm's biggest problem: accessibility. A successful BR mode could introduce millions of new players to the Battlefield franchise, potentially growing the community rather than dividing it. The separate launch strategy also suggests they're treating it as its own product rather than forcing it in the main game. This could prevent the integration problems that plagued other franchises. And let's be honest, if executed properly, a Battlefield Battle Royale could be incredible. The franchise's strengths, like vehicles, destruction, combined arms, could create a BR experience that no other game can offer. So can Battle Royale ruin Battlefield 6? Based on history, the risk is very real. We've seen BR modes kill single-player campaigns, drain resources from core gameplay, split communities, and fundamentally change franchise identities. There are concerns that EA is hedging their bets. Some say that instead of putting everything into making the best possible Battlefield experience, they're splitting resources between the main game and the BR mode, that historically has been problematic for established series. Others would rather have the Battle Royale mode as the highlight of this launch, and a new beginning for the series. Time will tell, but I'd rather see Battlefield 6 be an incredible military shooter first, and worry about Battle Royale later. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.